game 2. We're going into picks and bans here. Obviously, I like the draft out of Cringe Crew. I like the draft out of Cyclone last game. What needs to change for Cringe Crew, and what needs to be improved for Cyclone here?
I just think that Cringe Crew needs to play together a little bit better and have the cohesion and the peels in the backline. Because looking at their team comp, they had a really great displacement comp between the Sobek and the Tier. Kabrakan was a little hit or miss. It was a very far-fetched strategy coming out of Cringe Crew. Once the Magai's Blessing came online for Cyclone, that really hindered Cringe Crew's ability to initiate.
Well, Isis and Athena taken out this time round, so no Athena going to be available for Cringe Crew to look to take away themselves, as Freya also banned out as well. Obviously, we're going to have a different first pick this time around, F-Dot. Is there something you expect Cringe Crew to be looking for first of all?
I mean, it really depends. Cringe Crew right now, the thing for me with Cringe Crew is that they're hard to predict their picks and bans because they have so many different strategies in their bag of tricks. Cringe Crew, like I said, does a lot of work from Deathians from the top down, and he's got, as I said, just so many different strategies, but I do think EmilZy might be the priority.
Well, Terra was banned out there by CycloneGG, so Cringe Crew having a long, hard fought. Fafnir available, though, totally. Do we expect to see him?
It would definitely be probably the best pick for the Cringe Crew because it takes it away also from CycloneGG because you want to be able to set yourself up in the late game. This coerce is just so valuable.
What do you see, Tom? You were pointing on the screen very quizzically on your face there.
Yeah, I'm looking at Repikas. I would love to know what's in that notebook.
It's blank. I swear it's blank. It's just like, listen, we could be on camera, so let's just put up a notepad and see it. And now, when he watches this VOD back, he's now going to have to tweet what was on that notepad. That's my mind game.
Well, because I know Deathians has a book, you know,
well,
really
Deathians stole
deep.
it.
There it is. It'll be the Jing way.
Interesting choice there coming out here, Tolly. They want the mobility here for Shaggyshenk once more.
It just seems that that's a big key matchup between Shaggyshenk and VoteNBK. In the last game, VoteNBK went for Fatalisha Balanke. It was just so mobile, agile, very difficult to really get away from. His player damage was also really high. So by picking up the Jing way early, for Shaggyshenk, he should be able to get some of these power spike items online. And
you talk about the strategies here, F-Dot, as well, of like Cringe Crew very, very deep in that, in the picks and bans and focusing. They knew they were going to give Fafnir up here more than likely to the boys, so they must have something in store for it.
Exactly. Cringe Crew, in order to sort of mitigate what Fafnir has, Jingwei is one of the picks, and that'll allow to recover. If you back, you can get back to the Gold Fury. When I see Fafnir, I'm always thinking about the objective secure, rather, and especially combined with the Raijin. So for Cringe Crew, these next two selections, I want to see some protection around those objectives.
So the biggest issue with the comp Cringe Crew drafted the last game, Tolly, I mean, what was the biggest problem? Was it just hard to confirm the damage or something, or?
It was a combination of them not being able to really do anything late game once the Mad Guy's Blessings came online, and them not grouping up enough in the early to mid stages because of their team composition, which is so much superior because of all the crowd control between the Sobek, the Tier, even the knockup from the Jingwei, as well as Kero kind of dropping the ball a little bit with some of those ultimates.
Well, we're going to see a bit of a mix-up in the mid lane now. Obviously, Vulcan going to be given over to Kero this game. Across the way, already, Raijin was drafted earlier by Wlfy, which is a bit of a surprise to me because his Vulcan play last game was so solid.
It really was, and here's two, I'm giving you the thumbs up. Well, Odin, ouch. I'm giving you the thumbs up. I love this Vulcan selection. Two big reasons. One, Raijin is a punching bag for Vulcan. As soon as Raijin decides that he wants to go for a drum solo, Vulcan's going to smash him over the head with his own ultimate. And then, like I was talking about when it comes control about the Gold Fury and other objectives, Fafnir can do that very well during the early game. Well, you got to watch out for the giant bomb coming from Vulcan.
Well, look at Odin here being locked in solely, and it is good against Vulcan and Erlang Shen for keeping him trapped somewhere, but Phantom is a thing that's available, and how much can he really make an impact with this?
That's true. The Odin will force out the Phantom, but that's going to take away other options in teamfight and relics. That means you're not going to have a meditation, a shell, or a sprint, maybe even a curse. If CycloneGG elect to go for more of a sustained comp, I could easily see them maybe running something in the solo, and Guan Yu is still available.
I did mention as well, like, it's good against the Vulcan, it's good against the Erlang Shen here, but it also may change Cringe Crew's ideas. Obviously, sustain was a big factor so far in these groups here, but with the Odin on the table, it makes things more interesting.
I mean, you definitely can't go for the traditional heals like you said. We've seen a lot of Ra, we've seen a lot of Guan Yu, and that really has been integral. And you can see the look on EmilZy's face. It certainly looks like they're thinking about their next couple of picks as opposed to just feeling very comfortable and having everything sort of set in stone. So Cringe Crew, they have to look for a pivot here.
I wouldn't be surprised if EmilZy tries to go for the Kepri, because whoever gets trapped in that Odin cage, if you don't have that Phantom, you have to get him out somehow.
Well, it's going to be Hombats and Jibalanke JaBlonkay this time round. Cringe Crew don't want to deal with VoteNBK JaBlonkay 2 games in a row.
I mean, it's a very powerful pick, going the Fatalis, like we said. And shouts to Allied and Transonics, depending on who you want to watch. And that JaBlonkay winds up being powerful. I don't know if it's warranted of a ban, but at the end of the day, the second round of bans, what it comes down to is about comfort, right? You just didn't like playing against it, it's totally fine.
When we saw the replays of Kero, though, in that game, whenever he was trying to use those Ymir monsters, it was the JaBlonkay ult that was being used at the same time to deny the vision. Maybe that's the reason.
That could have very well been. We've seen him just not being patient enough with those ultimates. Even though the ultimate from JaBlonkay came out, the timer of Ymir monster lasts quite a while, so you could have just held onto it for a little bit longer. But now, with the Vulcan not having to worry about Darkest of Nights, there should be some easy power plays coming out of Kero.
I love this Apollo selection from CycloneGG. VoteNBK. Keep in mind, he's the one lone non-rookie, right? So it says right there, we've only seen his team play the Apollo once this split, but in the past, both in the Pro League and even in the Challenger Cup, going way back when to when I used to cast him down in the Challenger Cup, he is a very adept Apollo player. It might not be the #1 hunter in the world right now, but when NBK is on this god, it's very scary.
Also seems to follow suit with the global presence that he'll have on the map again, just like the JaBlonkays. We see the Bacchus and the Awilix, so we've got the knock-up combination coming through here, Toli.
Every single member from Cringe Crew has a knock-up in their kit to be able to synergize with this Awilix pull. So I'm really liking the strategy coming out of Cringe Crew. They really need to figure out a way to get Repikas rolling in the early game. If you pick Vulcan or Awilix and you don't do something early on, then I can see Cyclone really running away with this, because now they have an Odin cage and the Ymir wall to try to shut down this Vulcan. 3
tanky targets here after Blizz. No sustain this time round. What does that change?
I mean, no sustain for Cringe Crew, but this is, like I said before about last game, Awilix needs to come into play in the mid game. With Cringe Crew, I think they can play around it a little bit better. I'm expecting Repikas to go absolutely ham.
So you think Cringe Crew's got this one?
Just on the basis of Repikas being very strong, yes, I do.
What about you, Toli?
I got to give it to Cringe Crew. I'm really liking their composition. I can see Zyrhoes playing Erlang Shen very aggressively in this game.
Well, we'll see what they can do, because from my point of view, these two were wrong last game. I'm expecting to probably be wrong again just because cast a curse. We'll throw it to the casters, Adonis and Aggro for game 2.
Fight me.
Now, Cringe Crew are going to be fighting people for sure, but I don't think I've ever seen an SPL lineup that has played around Awilix so well. We've seen it where it's like, okay, we got a knock-up in the solo, knock-up in the mid, but 4 knock-ups, not even including Awilix's own knock-up there. Everything right now is going to be running through Repikas for Cringe Crew.
Cyclone forgot about Awilix.
I think they did.
That's the only way that this sort of composition goes through, because whenever you select Odin, especially if you're planning on putting him in support, like it looks like Cyclone's going to be doing here, you have to be thinking about that Awilix. Now, you're never going to be able to see Kalas jump, ever and anywhere. It's going to be impossible for him. Oh no, it's actually going to be Ice playing Odin in the jungle.
I think you forgot about the Fafnir.
I did forget about the Fafnir. Yeah, you're right. So
EmilZy,
we both forgot
first
about
basic.
stuff.
EmilZy got the first basic. But
GG.
he's just gonna run away. Got his belly flop. He's gonna
Dan,
be
do you
fine.
want to wrap this game up? We know the winner clearly. EmilZy with the first auto attack.
That is how. Actually, I think it's only hunters though. It only counts for hunters.
Oh, you're right. That's a subset of that rule.
Yeah, that's like the Zapman law, I think, of ranked.
Dude, how funny would that be if like one team reads the rules and there's some strange clause in there that it's like if your solo laner hits the enemy support with 3 auto attacks before 2 minutes, you win the game.
It's like buried real deep. Has the asterisk as well. Just like what the hell?
And then
Dan walks out. Is like, all right, boys, F6 it. Let's go on to the next set. That would be pretty brutal. But Obey, very happy after that last game, making sure to knock Cringe Crew down. Don't allow them to get that full set, giving them 5 points. But honestly, no matter who wins this game, Cringe Crew or Cyclone, both will be on 3 points. Only one below Obey with the same number of games played.
Exactly. So Obey is going to have someone behind them. We don't know if it's going to be Cringe Crew. Like you mentioned, they're sitting at 2. If they're able to win this, they go to 3. And Cyclone sitting at 1. If they're able to secure the 2-0, they go to 3 as well. So, but this is best case scenario for Obey. They had that rough start yesterday, splitting with Cringe Crew. Cringe Crew would put themselves in an excellent position, but now, even if they win this game, it's all even. You've played Energy once, you've played each other once with Obey and Cringe Crew, so it's completely even going forward.
I mean, if Cyclone win this game, are we going to start talking about them as, we mentioned a lot of them potentially being the spoilers. Whoever they beat aren't going to make it, which is looking like Cringe Crew, but with how they played that game, are we looking at them to potentially have a chance to qualify?
I mean, I predicted them to finish 3rd. I feel like this is a very strong lineup. Ice really showing up
Ice is a
Wlfy
god.
being around a long time, Kalas having LAN experience. I thought that a lot of people were really underestimating this roster from Cyclone. So yeah, I think that's an absolute possibility. They had the rough day one, but they've shown the best ability to adjust thus far.
Well, EmilZy gonna go for a jump in at level 2, off the mark though. Shag and EmilZy just trying to gain control. EmilZy rotated over, helped secure those mid-harpies with his Wrath. But Cyclone is forced out in the mid lane. A lot of pressure coming from Kero and Repikas. This Awilix, I mean, now they've got to deal with it on the other side of the map. And actually, they were going for those back harpies, but I think they thought they were going to have a kill. I mean, that's a very slight, but still a win for Cyclone.
A little bit, but they're just losing lane pressure here. I think they just decided, Cringe Crew just decided to stay because of the lane pressure they continue to get, because they're still going to be able to go for these back harpies after this wave. It was just the fact that the waves were so close together already that they wanted to back up and do that.
Just look at that clear on the left-hand side. We see Shaggyshenk group up the minions a little bit with the first couple basics. Gust hits almost the whole wave, then EmilZy just belly flops on top. Almost instant clear at level 3. Really hard for VoteNBK and College to come back into this one. But VoteNBK is on an Apollo. Very dynamic character that's always in and out of the meta.
Exactly, and it's always in the meta for VoteNBK. He loves this god. We saw him play it to great effect up against Energy in the last week of the online portion of this split. He was able to, that was the game they were able to split with Energy. Here's the ultimate actually out of Zyrhoes, just trying to get some sustain on this right-hand side. You need to use that aggressively just to keep yourself topped off.
I think it was Dimmy the first time I really saw this used, where on cooldown he would spam that ultimate, just trying to push the other player out of lane, always keep himself healthy and just snowball off of that golden experience lead he can gain. We see the Odin looping around on the right-hand side, but Ice is only level 4. I mean, this is not going to be a gank that's going to be able to be executed without him having that ring.
Now he's level 5, just going to be looking to control these gremlins, as the EU players call them gremlins.
Gremlins?
Yeah,
Not elementals?
No, at least Energy likes to call them that. There's the purification out of Repikas, pulls Deathwalker back in, a perfect ultimate gonna find the mark.
Oh, Wlfy though, he has the taunt and Repikas is pushed away. And now Kero's trapped in the cage. Ice did hit level 5. He's so low right now, but the rotation from Zero is gonna make it hard. Ice still looking for the kill. In the meantime though, Ymir in the backline. One hit, same with Repi, but he secures the first blood.
What is happening? I mean, everyone
Chaos.
is low, everyone is out of mana, everyone has used their ultimates.
Run,
Repi in
Repi.
trouble, Ice wanted to go for the jump.
There was
but
1 second. There's
didn't.
1 second left on that jump cooldown. Would have secured the kill. I don't think Repikas had any cooldowns to use, but this has opened up the red buff steal for Cringe Crew. They have secured it, and nothing VoteNBK and Callus can do in that spot.
Really tough for Deathwalker. He eats 2 ultimates in total. Just, well, 3 if you count the ultimate in lane from Erlang Shen. Just able to survive, then Repi re-engages. A good rotation from Wlfy. Almost is able to clean up, but just not quite enough damage. We see yet again those damage numbers from Raijin really being affected by that nerf he took recently.
And again, great play by Wlfy, just fearing them away, trying to save Deathwalker. I mean, it doesn't happen in the end, but still strong presence of mind. We've really seen Ice and Wlfy be the players to watch for Cyclone. They have turned up mechanically, just fantastic. And their decision-making as well has been really on point. The main issue, though, I mean, we heard their comms. It really seems just chaos. There was like 3 calls being made, and it takes them 5 to 10 seconds to figure out which one to do.
Man, would Noble or Elevate kill to have that problem? I mean, we hear all the time about how there's not enough being communicated. They don't know what they want to do as a team. But it's the exact opposite for Cyclone. Too many voices.
Well, Repi gonna look for a gank on the right-hand side. Nice knock-up. But here's Ice as well. Lock it in the cage. Deathwalker trying to get up with the taunt. He is gonna be able to escape it. A turnaround 2-man freeze. Wlfy to the side. Can't find Repi, but Zyrhoes is surrounded by 4.
Even Kalas has made the rotation. The wall is perfect. The turtle's not going to get you anywhere, Zyrhoes. You're going to fall here. Almost actually picks up Ice.
Yeah.
Wlfy able to secure the kill, though.
A little bit risky there, but great play once again from Wlfy. Fantastic play from Ice, but the
Both in
issue
the
is
air.
everyone was on the right-hand side. Shaggy ults very early, but Cringe Crew still secure it. They obviously had the Wrath coming out from EmilZy. VoteNBK almost able to pick up a kill on the back end of that.
Vote can't back there. You know your entire team is on the solo side. Yeah, you have ult, but he wasn't able to get there in time. Here's the
Combo.
ultimate, perfectly combo, but the shell is perfect from Kalas.
Quick.
Gonna be able to stop the damage.
Probably gets out of there anyway, but would have been a lot riskier. Maybe Repikas chased him if we did see him a little bit lower. But I feel like Cringe Crew are executing this combo much more cleanly than we saw Cyclone execute. This Vulcan Awilix just waits to do the feather step right as the Vulcan ult hits.
It's been absolutely picture perfect, but they've only resulted in 1 kill, and that was on Deathwalker after the combo had already been used. Repikas looking very comfortable, though, on this Awilix, and again, this pick was perfect. You have so
Brilliant.
many. I mean, the Odin leap is completely negated now unless he doesn't see it coming like I did on that right-hand side. But even then, the Gravity Surge was already down. Every member of Cringe Crew has a knock-up as well.
It's so brutal for them. And right-hand side, Zyrhoes is going to get ganked once again, has no option to deal with this cage. Wlfy's made the rotation, not even needed. And that's a weakness here, this Erlang Shen versus this Odin.
So we talked about how Awilix is the counterpick to Odin, really, but Erlang Shen just can't do anything.
He just
up against
dies.
it. He just dies. You see how right there. Here's the pull in, but the beads is perfect from
Feather
Wlfy.
step.
Trying to buy a little bit of time. Repi, here's the dash
Wlfy
in
wants
from
it.
Wlfy.
One more hit, there it is, and now Kero's lined up as well. He takes about half his life. The rotation from EmilZy, though, off the mark, looking for ice, not for Callus with that knockup.
Just not on the same page there. Kero a little bit too far away to follow up significantly on that pull-in, and Wlfy immediately uses the purification and then turns around the aggression onto Repikas. That's his first death, and that's an important one because look at the gold lead that he'd amassed over top of ice, being able to farm significantly better than his opposition. So getting that kill is going to put Wlfy in the lead. In fact, Kero also had a sizable lead up on Wlfy, but with that kill, going to be able to even him up.
EmilZy here set up for the left-hand Harpies, about to spawn. Callus in the area, though, just counter-warding for now. Harpies do go the way of CC. I don't think one of them was stolen, but that's something to talk about too with this Awilix Vulcan combo. I mean, they got Wlfy that time. Quick beads, great reaction from him, but there are 3 tanky characters that, even if they dump their whole kits, can still survive.
And that's going to be a problem. I'd like to see a Sunder. Let's see the Sunder come out. That's the best thing you can do.
Erlang?
Up against tanky targets. Erlang would be a perfect candidate for that Sunder because you can lock them down very easily, Sunder them, knock them up, allow your team to kind of blow them up after that.
Sunder is super dynamic, but it's also a little bit risky because you do have to connect it. It's not like that shell or the meditation, you pop it, anyone in a giant area hits it. It is a skill shot that you have to aim, and maybe not a lot of players have practice with it. Actually, I lied, because we did the playtest the other day. Zyrhoes played Kamazat solo with Sunder, and I think he hit every single one.
I mean, he was a mid laner. Line skill shots should be right up his alley. I mean, that's the bread and butter of any mid laner. Stuff like backfire, it just feels like second nature. So I'm sure Zyrhoes is going to be very comfortable on that sort of skill shot. And again, I'd really like to see him pick it up here because you're right. The tankiness from Cyclone could definitely become an issue. You don't have as much punch through that sort of damage or through that sort of protection that you'd like.
And once again, going the Stone of Gaia start, only Emerald right now, but that's what he built, I think, against Sobek when we saw him play yesterday.
Yeah, Sobek and against whatever variety played in the first game as well.
Probably Ymir.
Probably Ymir, exactly. And then, but it was up against a Raw as well. Both matchups where I really would have preferred to see Zyrhoes go for the Pestilence. This time, the Stone is going to be a little bit more helpful, but as soon as he gets Odin caged, that health regen doesn't do a whole lot for you.
Nothing at all, and we've seen Cyclone be very particular with making sure to cage him, making sure to wait for that ultimate to come through so he doesn't receive the heal at all. Gold Fury has not been looked at since the start of it, and actually, Deathwalker has picked up the Stone as well.
I mean, all of Cyclone's picking up some stuff we usually don't see. Deathwalker goes for the Stone of Gaia, kind of copying the Zyrhoes, and then the Spectral Armor from iceicebabyy, looking to get those cooldowns back whenever he uses that purification.
And, I mean, this tells me that he's going to go another Relic that's very teamfight oriented as well, already trying to set up. And you talked about the lead. This is why Repi has a lead in the jungle, because all Ice is doing is trying to set up for a gank here. Zyrhoes quick recognition, but that wall is going to make it hard for him.
Now here comes the cage. The jump in is good, but Ice is going to be tanking this up. They've got to burn Zyrhoes quickly. The Shards of Ice definitely going to help him out with that. Is the heal going to go off? No, just out of range. Deathwalker picks up the kill.
Repikas rotating in a little bit too late, but Callus was already in position. Smart attention to detail. That was a planned execute from them. We saw Ice waiting for Zyrhoes, and then Callus was ready to body block or slow down anyone who was rotating from Cringe Crew. And again, I mean, Zyrhoes played that absolutely perfectly. He ulted, he waited a couple seconds into the cage, but it just doesn't come down in time.
It was so close, and he was playing so carefully too because he knew that Ice was on that right-hand side, but diving the tower, able to pick up that kill. Now Deathwalker sitting at level 12, Going to be able to back and get a relic for this Gold Fury fight, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to.
Teleport is online for Zyrhoes right now, so he can come back into this fight. And now the jump forward as well. Wlfy, what are you doing? He jumped into 3 and just died.
Shaggy just deleted him. I don't know what that decision-making was. Now VoteNBK goes up into the sky. Both Repikas and EmilZy are low, but he's going to land on Shaggy. There's the airstrike to get him out of danger, and the rest of Cringe Crew's turning and running.
Deathwalker can't close the gap there. Might have been able to wall, but it doesn't matter. No one else on his team was there to follow up. Wlfy, though, interesting. After playing so well in game 1, that was a pretty awkward fight there.
My man is lit if he's jumping into 3 people like that. I guess he thought he was going to have some sort of initiation follow-up, but that was the rest of Cyclone going, brother, what was that?
I mean, we heard the comms, right? Wlfy's probably like, go in. VoteNBK is like, I'm about to ult. And Ice is like, yo, let's kill someone on the right-hand side or let's split push. And then Wlfy's already in there, and no one even knows what the call is.
That's a great point. The chaos that we've heard from the comms of Cyclone can definitely contribute to situations like that, where one player makes a call that's got to be executed perfectly, and then it isn't because there's too much communication.
The wall is up, and Repi jumps over it. Not leveling that wall, though. Very short, focusing more on that freeze, and obviously the glacial strike as well. Blue buff being worked on right now. Zyrhoes doesn't want to give it up, but it is stolen away. Wlfy's got to back out. 2-man knock up a pull onto Deathwalker, taking a lot of damage from the Vulcan, and here comes the ult. 2-man knock up from EmilZy as well.
And here comes the cage, but everyone's just using it to try and run away. Deathwalker gonna fall to Zyrhoes. I'm sure he's happy about that. So he gets the gank this time, and the enemy solo laner falls. Perfect ultimate from Kero that time, looking much more comfortable on Vulcan.
I'm really surprised that Cringe Crew didn't invade that speed in blue, though. I don't think they knew it was up. I think the timers on the jungle, ever since that first fight where it was so chaotic, have really been sporadic. No one's in line right now.
They didn't want to give up pressure around the Gold Fury. I think that's the main thing. If the Gold Fury's down there, you probably do see them continue the push on that right-hand side to take down those buffs, but they don't want to lose ward coverage over there. They don't want to allow some crazy thing to happen, though Cyclone was all on that right side of the map at the same time as them. Maybe they were talking about doing the Gold Fury and then decided to just split up and farm anyways, take the pick and take what you can get.
Possible either way, but gold still even. I mean, I don't want to say we're going to be in for another 50-minute match, but it is quite possible with how close these teams are.
Why'd you have to say that, dude? This could have been like a 25-minute game.
No, I'm reverse psychologing the caster curse. I'm going to say it is going to be 50 minutes. So it's not.
So an F6 is due in the next like 3.
Don't say that because that's definitely not happening.
Well, that's true. But I mean, the reverse caster curse, that's the opposite of a 50-minute game, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Now we're all lost. Now I don't even know what's going to happen.
Who knows what happens in this game? And
Repi.
That's the thing, is that you don't know. It's so even. Here's
Frozen.
the freeze onto Repi. No purification available for him. No, he had it. Where was it?
He's still going to be able to jump out. The jump forward, Blink is going to be forced as well. The ultimate from Wlfy going to taunt 2 back in.
Vote.
And actually, I think EmilZy just jumped in as Zyrhoes rotates in the side, takes out Ice. Under the tower, Vote's trying to dive, but now he's taken so much damage. Deathwalker does take out EmilZy on the right-hand side. This is absolute chaos from both sides. Shaggy lines up 3, finds Wlfy, lands back down along with Zyrhoes.
It's just those 2 against 3 members of Cyclone. Vote is getting low, but Deathwalker is so healthy right now. Khalid's going to turn and burn. There's the purification used by Shaggyshenk off of the freeze by Deathwalker. Nothing lost overall for Cringe Crew except for 3 members.
That was chaos. Oh, nice mez from VoteNBK there, stopping him right in place. Zyrhoes going to be forced back. But a 3 for 2 overall in favor of, I believe, Cyclone. And that was just absolute chaos. Votes dive in a tower. Repi's caught on the right-hand side. Doesn't have purification. Barely makes it out. Then has to blink away from Wlfy. Like, wow.
I mean, the purification was up whenever I looked. It was right after the freeze, and he was able to get out. It must have just come off cooldown because there's no reason to hold it in that sort of scenario. Like you mentioned, Vote able to dive into the back and pick up the very low jungler for Cringe Crew. Really awkward fight, like you mentioned, but I don't know. I think the build here from Vote, Aussie is an item that doesn't see a whole lot of play anymore, and I think there's a very good reason for that. It's just not. It gives you a lot of different things, but not a lot of different things, if that makes any sense. Not a lot of attack speed, not a lot of lifesteal, not a lot of penetration, and I would have rather seen him gone for this late game build to match up with Shaggy. The Devo gloves would have really upped that power.
So I think what's actually happening is this is a build that Zatman just announced that he's been running pretty consistently. He's going to go into the chins, into, I believe, the Wind Demon, straight into the raids, and then he's going to sell Ymir, I think, for the 3rd crit at the end there. But obviously with Apollo's passive, he doesn't really need all that attack speed, he's going to be overcapping.
Especially with the coerce buff coming out of Kalas.
Yeah, that too.
It's going to be really, really potent. And that's a great combination that we don't see a whole lot of because of the lack of wave clear from VoteNBK or in Apollo and as a character. Makes him a little bit less favorable to go up. Oh, Repikas blinks in, finds Wlfy, but the ult is off the mark from Kero, just not there.
Rare. I mean, they were executing that so cleanly earlier in the game, but Kero a little bit late on that ultimate there. Perfect play from Repikas, though. Knocked up 2, pulled in the 1. Quick reaction from Wlfy once again with those purification. He's been on point, making sure that he's not going to get disrupted from those knockups. There's 5 on the side of Cringe Crew, so he's got to be quick with them.
Exactly. Really curious that there's no Hydra's Lament on Repikas right now. I mean, we talked about the potency that iceice had with that last time. He's got the cooldown from Jotuns, but no Hydras. The cooldown synergizes, plus the passive just works so well with Awilix.
I think a lot of it has to do with the composition that Cyclone's drafted, though. Deathwalker, Callus, and Ice all going to be very tanky. I mean, it's only 10 penetration, but still penetration is better than nothing against those front lines.
Very true. It looks like he might be going into an Executioner even next to help with that tankiness as well. And here's the Snuck Gold Fury.
No idea.
Wlfy going to use the ultimate just to make sure, but wasn't even needed. Especially with that Vulcan ultimate being down, they really didn't need to burn the Taiko drums, but at the end of the day, you're going to walk away with a Gold Fury, you're going to be happy.
And now Cyclone does have a lead, about 2,000 dead even. You could see the swing. Cringe Crew up pretty early there after that chaos in the right-hand side jungle, about 1,500. So it's been overall, you know, about a 3,500 swing for Cyclone. They've done a really good job of fighting back into this over the past 12 minutes.
And that Gold Fury's on Shaggy. He's clearing a wave in the left lane and then backs, and he's got no clue. You've got to be able to keep track of the enemy hunter at this stage in the game when you know he can solo that.
Well, it was crazy because the last game there was no Gold. No one paid any attention to Gold Fury at all. Neither team. They're just like, if we win a fight, maybe we'll look at it. But the other team was always there to answer back and at least put, you know, a presence there and pressure and know that they were going on. We hadn't seen a just complete Snuck Gold Fury in a while.
But it's a good time for one here for Cyclone, putting them in the lead. It looks like Wlfy's just finished off his Warlock Sash a little bit late for the Warlock Sash, fitting that around 17 minutes. Not exactly where you want to be, just trying to get some extra health to kind of add to the tankiness of their overall roster. The problem with this is that even though that Chin Size was already going to get such value against this sort of team with how much health you're going to be building, as well as items like Masamune, we'll see if anyone wants to go for that, but it makes it even better.
Well, another gank on the right-hand side onto Zyrhoes. He's caged in, but surviving a lot longer. The pull, Ice deep into the team, has to jump over the FG wall, and he is going to be able to get out safe, but Deathwalker's caught on the right-hand side. The wall is up, and Repikas is denied entry into his tower.
That's 3 ults for 1, though, and that's a short cooldown on that cage. Now EmilZy was trying to rotate over, got spotted by Callus and iceice, but not enough damage to really make him pay for it.
And now Ice has to run away as well, and Zyrhoes has just put this pressure on. He's just poking out as many people as possible. This could be a tier 1 tower on the right, but Wlfy has rotated in, and Reppy's been waiting for him. Knocked up, no ult just yet, though.
No, but here's a Taiko drums. He's looking at Reppy. Now gonna have to change his direction because Reppy's so far away. The ultimate's gonna be way off from Deathwalker, and Wlfy's still getting doped by Zyrhoes. Here's the ice carpet. VoteNBK comes crashing down onto Kero, mezzes him away, but the real fight's on this right-hand side.
And it is long and arduous. Zyrhoes gets a 2-man knockup trying to run away, but it is all 5 of Cyclone following him up. It's gonna be 2 kills, double for Ice, and now they could keep this chase up. Ice still wants the blink. He finds both, but where's the rest of his team? Deathwalker blinks to close the gap as well. Kero, no mana. Callus is here as well. The wall's gonna stop him in place, and that's gonna be 3 for Cyclone, but their left-hand side was exposed.
Shaggy not gonna be able to get the Phoenix, though, and that's a huge deal. Yes, they are able to get some gold. Cringe Crew does get something out of that fight, but overall, you lose 3, you lose your buff on the right-hand side, and it looks like they're gonna lose their tier 2 tower as well.
It's gonna be hard for Reppy to defend this one right now. You can see 1 versus 3 Ice, pretty tanky. VoteNBK, he's got a decent amount of penetration in his kit too. It's just gonna be chunking away, and all that split push that Shaggy made on the left-hand side completely negated with that tier 2.
Man, that fight felt like an eternity. I mean, it was going on forever. Vote crashes down onto the 2 carries, mezzes Kero, and then immediately goes to join the rest of his team. Zyrhoes fought forever on that right-hand side. Not quite enough damage. You see the sort of lacking damage already starting to be exposed. for Cyclone with
I was about
Odin
to say.
jungle, Ymir solo. It's not the same sort of burst that you're used to, but eventually it works.
They're relying on Wlfy and they're relying on VoteNBK to be the primary damage sources for the team. VoteNBK hasn't really had much of an impact just yet. His ultimates have, come down. He picked up one player in the mid lane, but outside of that, it's really just been landing down and having to, reposition himself because he's 1 versus 2 or 1 versus 3.
And that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of the Warlock sash here for Wlfy. You are the primary damage dealer right now for your team, even more so than usual because of the lack of burst damage that you typically see out of your jungler and or your solo laner. So continuing to slow down that power spike doesn't feel great to me.
Yeah,
here.
very, very expensive item that's going to take a while to stack. And it seems, unlike game 1, well, I guess we're 21 minutes in, but lanes have finally started to break a little bit, so it's going to be a lot harder for him to get up those stacks. 1v1 on the left-hand side. VoteNBK outplayed completely, but he's got support from his team. Airstrike confirms the kill, though. Shaggyshenk doesn't get hit once in that fight.
And look at him. He's just calm, cool, and collected, man. He's looking good. Now he's going to go aggressive onto Wlfy here. The rest of Cringe Crew are trying to follow up. Shaggy just chasing everyone down.
Just out of range. I mean, he has that Fatalis effect after doing that combo with agility and the gust knockup, but barely. Wlfy was barely out of range. I mean, if that was in line to hit him, he might have just died.
That is a terrible time to get soloed. 21 minutes in, you're level 19. Now the power play here for Cringe Crew. Cyclone had just started to get the lead going. They were just starting to look good, and then the fatal flaw of VoteNBK rears its ugly head.
Well, he's got ult. Let's listen in to Cringe Crew here as they secure this Gold Fury and make plans for their next attack.
Wait in Smite.
Yeah, I don't think they're on fire.
No. It wouldn't be. Nice. Good shit, Shaggy. What did you use?
Me?
Yeah.
Beats.
Okay.
I'm backing. I know, but then someone's up. Yeah, someone check fire, because I'm backing.
Nah, they're not on it. No way, no way.
But like,
Two in mid. Can I push your right wave?
Yeah.
I'm so close to Rod. Yeah. Watch out though. He went back right, whoever that is. Right mid spawn.
Could it be on fire?
Well, that was a Steel Series listen-in. No plans are being made right now, just a couple calls on, what people use there. Cringe Crew, though, very calm, right? It is a stark contrast listening to Cringe Crew versus listening to Cyclone. Now I know there wasn't a lot of action going on there, but even when we heard Cyclone after they disengaged a fight and were able to reset, it was still just so many things just cluttering.
One of the main differences between a team like Cringe Crew that has a lot of veteran players, have been to LAN before, understand what it's like, and then a team mostly full of rookies like Cyclone, getting excited in that game. I mean, that was in the late game. They knew they were in control, starting to feel for their first win here on LAN. So it's a little bit to expect.
Again?
No way.
Wow.
Vote is just getting crushed in lane right now by Shaggy.
I swear, I don't know how that ult came out so fast. I thought he was dead. Shaggyshenk, though, can't confirm the kill. Pressure on the right-hand side, and you can see Shaggy even rotating over to the mid. It doesn't seem like Wlfy wants to give it up for free. Double blink, and Ice has 2 caged in.
Now great ultimate from Deathwalker, but not going to do enough damage. Kero falling very low, sitting at 1 HP. The ult's going to hit 3, though. Big damage. Bird Bomb's going to confirm the kill, but the rest of Cringe Crew is here.
Cyclone is so tanky right now. Here comes Shaggyshenk on the rotation, though, lining up Deathwalker. But just, we saw how much damage he was doing to Vote. He is tickling Deathwalker right now. Still, all 5 alive. Cyclone somehow come out unscathed, but Cringe Crew don't want to give it up for now. Kalis ult ends, and there's the blink from Rapi looking for Deathwalker.
Deathwalker going to get knocked up yet again. Shaggy gets the kill, his 4th of the game, and the rest of Cringe Crew isn't done. He's still looking at VoteNBK. Finally decides it's not the best idea to dive the tier 2 tower, but they are going to look to knock it down.
We haven't seen this Shaggy in a long time. This guy was one of the best players in Season 0 and Season 1, but he's been fairly quiet the last 2. And honestly, if Cringe Crew want to make Super Regionals, I think he's got to be playing like this a lot more often. Fantastic game coming out from him right now, 4-0-0, shutting down VoteNBK. But now he's in a little bit of trouble, getting chased down.
iCeicebabyy doesn't want to let him get away, but he's just totally content to turn and throw autos out. Get that life steal, get that damage away. The damage from Odin not going to be effective right now.
Odin still wants to fight, though, and Zyrhoes is going to get caged in, but Zyrhoes, I mean, he's not running anymore. He's trying to fight. Let me out of this cage. He does have Phantom. We didn't mention it. It was popped, I think, in the last fight, but now still wants some. Wlfy.
but now that he had to use Purification, the pin's perfect, uses Sanctuary, here's the taunt, he's not going anywhere. Zyrhoes trying to knock him down, but a great ult. The crit! Huge crit from Shaggy, does 400.
He's
now
looking for another.
is gonna be knocked down. Here's the ultimate from Kero, coming over the top, nowhere to go, but the ultimate perfectly immuned it.
Doesn't matter though, he's still locked in place after he transforms into that Griffin. And it's going to be another kill for Cringe Crew. They're down 9-12, but I really feel like they've had control of most of these fights.
It's especially in the late game, now that Shaggy's been able to come in and make a big impact. That creep actually making a big impact, forcing Kero and Shaggy into a bad spot. Oh, just squeaks through the wall. There's no way Khepri fits through there.
No, Khepri
is
caught.
Through.
Oh, interesting enough, Cringe Crew are going to start up the Fire Giant with 3 players in their face and 3 of their teammates missing. And so now they realize that that's probably not what they should do.
Yeah, they're not the call there. Without Shaggy there, he had to back.
Shaggy's no mana. He's like, guys, what are you doing
They're like, come on, we can do fire, dude. Freeze gonna be immune by the Magi's Blessing. Zero just being the annoyance that he should be right now on Erlang. And now that Shaggy's back, they can pull the Fire Giant in earnest.
But they're actually looking for kills instead. Deathwalker knocked up. Ice gonna drop the cage, trying into the back line. 5 knockups on your team, that's what happens.
My man's on a trampoline right now. I mean, just up and down and up and down, and the whole time Shaggy's just pounding into him with the auto attacks. Another kill goes the way of Shaggyshenk. Nothing that Deathwalker can do there.
Look at that top damage for Shaggyshenk at 13,000 right now. He's been doing everything, and this is an issue for Cyclone. They have 3 players that are frontline. They have high base damage early, but it's not going to last as long, and now that VoteNBK is getting outplayed, all they have is Wlfy.
Someone needs to one-shot Shaggy. That's the only way they're winning a fight right now. They've got to get a good cage onto him whenever the ultimate isn't available, and then Wlfy's gonna come in and rain some shots. The problem is that he's still got both relics and that ultimate available, so it's gonna be difficult to really lock him down. That's one of the things that makes Jing so strong, is that the damage output is just as good as any other hunter. Plus you have the knockup, plus you're just so tough to lock down.
Well, with Fire Giant in hand, Shaggy wants to push this right side Phoenix with his team. Deathwalker not spawning for another second. EmilZy on the front line, and it's a lot of spacing from Shaggy right now. Making sure not to overextend, but with Deathwalker spawning, it seems like they're just going to reset. Maybe they could sneak that Phoenix while the rest of the team was dealing with something in the mid there.
They've got the Gold Fury up. They've got this middle tier 2. No reason to try and force the issue, if you will.
Totally will.
Totally, definitely will.
Oh, Shaggy,
always.
What are you doing?
He's not worried about it. He's got the agility.
My man does mid-camps, and now he's caught, has to airstrike away. And it is going to be a reset, and that's a low cooldown ult for Ice. It's a small win, but still a win.
Cyclone's recognizing the exact same thing that we are, and that Shaggy is the problem for them. They're not able to deal with the damage, the mobility, all those sorts of things. So if you can get any sort of cooldown out of him for a shorter cooldown, it's going to be in your favor. There he steals his red buff away from his mid laner, like any ADC does these days, even though, we're mids, man. We deserve that red.
No, you're done.
That's why we get it.
Nope. VoteNBK doesn't have a red, though. Wlfy does have it. But going for the oboe, so very Ataraxia style, very similar to what, Energy, I think, brought at DreamHack. They actually ran the double hunters with this oboe, kind of a ton of power, looking for that team fight damage, not for the 1v1 boxing potential.
But he needs the 1v1 boxing potential right now, because like we mentioned, it's really just him and Wlfy who are going to have the brunt of dealing the damage here. But he needs to be able to one-shot Shaggy. That's the problem. He can never box Shaggy with this build. He just won't be able to. The crits are going to do way too much from Jing. Apollo's not going to be able to do what he does best, and that's ult into the backline and insta-kill a squishy.
Well, Cringe Crew trying to knock down this last tower in the middle. Blink was used by Deathwalker, trying to get a freeze off, and the ring comes out from Ice as well. Has EmilZy caged, but that's not the person he wants. Left-hand side, Zyrhoes is just so tanky. Big ult coming out from Kero, but it doesn't do enough damage, and Shaggy is just raining hell into these tanks now. He is so strong.
Freeze missed, but Kalas isn't done. He's going in on Shaggy. Both relics burned, though. Shaggy's getting pretty low, but there's the jump onto Kalas. Zero's going to be able to pick him up. Now double knock-up from Repikas. Shaggy picks up a 7th kill of the game, and they're knocking down these towers.
Absurd. This is a win. I mean, the game's not over just yet, but Cringe Crew are knocking on the door. This is Shaggyshenk outplaying VoteNBK front to back. And Cringe Crew, they don't want to wait for the respawns. They don't want to try and play it safe. They lost game 1 against Cyclone, coming in here as the 7th seed, and they want revenge. But actually, Cyclone, they held for a second, but that knock up into the big crits from Shaggy gonna end it. Finishes on 8 kills, 0 deaths, 3 assists. That's a Shaggy we ain't seen in quite some time.
Cringe Crew has not won a game 1 yet, but they've won every game 2 they've played. Game 1 against Energy, they get dismantled. They come back and win game 2. Game 1 against Obey, they get crushed, come back and win game 2. Game 1 against Cyclone, very long, very drawn out. Cyclone get the victory. Cringe Crew come back, win game 2. They're now sitting at 3 points, just 1 underneath Obey.
You know, talking to Tom about that yesterday too, he said, I mean, that's just what Cringe Crew have always done. I mean, they took games off of Energy in the spring split. They took games off of them when they were known as Epsilon last year. And it's always the second game. Any split they have, almost exclusively, it's just them being able to adapt to whatever the team brought them. And I think a lot of that comes down to just how intelligent this squad is. We talked about it. EmilZy has been, you know, here at a very young age, since 13, playing in the SPL. He's grown up so much and puts in so much work.
And it's really paying off right now. Even though you don't get the 2-0 that you were hoping for Cringe Crew, you do pick up that second game and still put yourselves in a good spot. And if you're confident in your play, I mean, you should be. You've taken a game off of both Energy and Obey. You're still sitting in a decent spot. Not what they were looking for, but certainly not a bad outcome.
Well, there's still some more games to play. That set, though, pretty crazy. It was a split. Hindu, why don't you break it down for us?
It was a pretty good set overall there. And I tell you, the one happy team that came out of that was Obey.
Absolutely.
Obey definitely came out happy with that. A split against those two there. Cringe Crew, definite rivals, and Cyclone, however, did look very strong, Tolly.
Absolutely. Finding their first win of the weekend. Now Obey with 4 points, Cringe Crew with 3, Cyclone with 1. Really still a tight-knit group 4, getting that second seed.
But it's still very early on, though, as well, Tom. We've still got 2 more sets to play today as well. Cyclone have to face off against Obey next as well. And in the standings, as you can see, you know, they still have a good opportunity to catch up here if they do find a 2-0 against Obey.
And of course, not just tonight, but also 4 matches tomorrow as well, 4 sets. So you've got more opportunity to earn points there as well. Like you said, Obey is certainly the most happy. I think Energy kind of comfy up there, and I think they're going to stay comfy. But as far as the rest of the pack, everybody's happy to really see that thin out.
So start that game, then we saw Cyclone get off to a pretty good start overall. We saw iceicebabyy have a pretty good game early, game 1, and then game 2 we saw him on the Odin. He got some good ultimates off in that.
We saw a lot of pressure done onto Zyrhoes in the early game, just being able to really camp his lane. He was overextended a little bit and aggressive, using his turtle form to be aggressive in the laning phase. As a result, we saw Wlfy and iceicebabyy rotating and trying to put pressure, trying to get Deathwalker ahead on the Ymir.
And the Deathwalker did get okay on the Ymir for the most part, but it didn't transition as the game went on.
Yeah. I mean, in game number 1, we saw this elongated laning phase, right? Which is, I think the teams expected to see the same thing, which is why we saw the Stone of Gaia. A lot of people are questioning why we saw that. It's good in the laning phase, so that's why you saw it. I think teams expected this to be a long laning phase like game 1, but iceicebabyy and some of the other characters here really stopped that laning phase from being as long as it was in game number 1 and forced the team fights.
It was more the tankiness I felt totally that went to Cyclone's favor in the early stages, but as the game went on, well, the crit monster Shaggyshenk started to come through, right?
Shaggyshenk just went off, being able to solo NBK one time and then forcing him out of the laning phase another. Just doing a great job with that Jing way, utilizing that Wind Demon very beautifully with the Fatalis effect. And I think he was the key reason in the later stages of the game that really allowed Cringe Crew to go off.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you just got to give it up to the hunter, right? Like, you get
That's
to
what
the
you
late
want,
game.
Tom, right? That's what you want. Sometimes you have to allow that onto the late game to step up, otherwise you're going home.
And you know, I was so excited to jump into that question because this is, I mentioned it all the time, Shaggyshenk is this guy that he's always going to just quietly sit there in lane and do what he's got to do. But every now and then, it just blows up.
Switch.
He hard carries the game, and that's what I remember it all the way back when, watching him at an EU kickoff LAN. He built Transcendence when nobody else thought that item was viable, and he just slayed everybody when nobody knew who this guy was. And everybody said, watch out for him in the future. And right here, this is one of those games.
And that's them focusing out over targets there, Tolly, just leaving him alone for the most part, allowing him to get free damage off.
Yeah, there was just too much pressure in the soul lane, like we mentioned before. Zyrhoes was the primary focus for Cyclone. As a result, Shaggyshenk getting the free farm that he really needed to, utilizing the passive, always just a one step above NBK in this matchup.
And position for the most part, Tom, you do see it's a little bit overextended, but he knows what cooldowns he's still got up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Shaggyshenk, if you want to identify some of the hunters, right? Because sometimes these players can sort of bleed into each other. If you look at, like, Zapman is always the example of the over-aggressive guy, and Barracuda, although not lately, is the example of the passive guy. Shaggyshenk is the example of the knowledgeable guy, the guy that has not the intelligence, just the information. He knows his cooldowns and the cooldowns around him. You'll see him go aggressive when he knows there is no imminent threat. That's what makes him so scary.
Well, Cringe Crew obviously did find the split there overall, and it may not be the one they were looking for overall. They were probably looking for the 2-0, but Adonis is standing by with Shaggyshenk right now. I'm sure we can get more input.
Well, talked up pretty heavily on the desk there, Shaggy. I know you were listening. Do you feel like you were one of the primary reasons your team was able to pull out that Game 2 victory?
Yeah, for the most part, it was a lot of the Jing carry, but my team allowed me to go completely ham.
How so?
Well, as Jing, you kind of want your team to force all their like big abilities and like their mobility, so you can chase them with the Fatalis effect, and they did that really well. So I just got off.
Okay, well, game 1 didn't go so cleanly. What really went wrong in that game, do you think?
I think it was a lot of synergy problems. It was a lot of single target damage. We had the Kabrakan, the Tyr, and the Sobek, and the synergy wasn't really there with Arrow, but also not with me. And yeah, the damage just wasn't confirmed, and that's the main reason.
And what main adjustments did you make? You actually stole away that Vulcan Awilix combo.
Yeah.
Was that the plan, to just strip it away from them and play it yourself?
No, it just kind of worked out in the draft, but it was a better draft overall, in my opinion, yeah.
Well, you've been split boys now. Split against Energy, split against Obey, and now split against Cyclone. All in the second games you found your wins. Why are you guys splitting so much? What's keeping you away from finding those 2-0s in those critical 3-point games or sets?
It's a good question. If I knew why, it would be would be going a lot better. But yeah, we need to get rid of that. We need to stop splitting if we want to win this LAN, or like
yeah, and qualify for Super Regionals.
Yeah, qualify is the word I'm looking for. Qualify for the next regionals, yeah, for sure.
Well, how do you think your chances are after that one?
After that one, we need to rethink our strategy, I think.
Okay.
A lot of picks and bans problems.
Okay.
I think the first picks and bans is always a bit shaky, and then the next one is better.
Yeah.
I think if we can get the first game better, then yeah.
Well, Shaggyshenk and Cringe Crew making phenomenal adjustments so far this LAN, actually splitting against all 3 opponents, but they still have to face those opponents one more time. We're going to let you go on a break, though. We have more Smite action up next.